Hello everyone, this is Marcel. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing dating sites. And we're talking like OkCupid, Match.com, let's see, Hot or Not is another one of them, Tinder. And then I'm going to talk about the concept of dating in general. So let's picture a scenario here. Young guy goes out, wants to meet a woman. Right? Doesn't have any luck meeting friends, acquaintances, people at work, people at school. Every time he asks somebody out, he gets kind of an awkward experience out of it. They usually say no, or if they do say yes, they bail on him half the time. He's left with another awkward situation. It's just one problem after another. So he turns to the internet and he starts looking around and comes across a dating site X. Doesn't really matter which one. And he sees these advertisements for it and he reads up the reviews and it's got decent reviews. So he goes on it and the site tells him, hey, look, we have, X number of thousand people that are eagerly waiting to date you in your city. Yeah, so he thinks, well, what do I have to lose? I'll go search around a little bit. Opens up his account and spends a few hours just scrolling through people's profiles and reading what they have to say. He decides to go ahead and pitch in the 30 or 40 bucks, opens his profile, spends a whole afternoon setting up his profile and getting everything ready. Then he goes out and starts commenting to every girl he can find that seems halfway decent. Out of 100 emails, maybe 5 of them reply. Out of those 5, one of them actually shows up to a date, and she's an overweight single mother with 3 kids who lied about the fact that she's still married and that she's not actually 27. If you have personally experienced this, my heart goes out to you. You're not alone. I'm in that boat too, along with countless of other tens of thousands of well-meaning men out there in the world. So why is it that these companies can be so popular, so successful, and yet so ineffective? Well, it really comes down to what they're designed to do. See, the dirty secret is they're not there to actually help people become couples. Not at all. See, the minute people find a partner, the minute they get into a relationship, they no longer need the company. And although warm and fuzzies are always great in business, they don't make money that way. The primary purpose of any of those sites is selling 2 things. One to men, one to women. To men, they are selling artificial confidence, giving them a platform and a format in which to describe themselves to the opposite sex. They also entirely remove the concept of stage fright from it. They remove all of the awkwardness from it. They make it clean and simple. Hold the guy's hand through every step. You know what almost has exactly the same format? A job application. Yeah, I'll be getting to that here in a minute. Now, from the female perspective, regardless of what these sites promote when a woman is searching through them, what they are selling is male attention. That's it, plain and simple. These women go onto those sites and they fill out their profiles and sit back and watch the emails roll in from dozens, even hundreds, thousands of beta males that are just waiting to go out on dates, to go hang out, to go spend money on them. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet. They can change up their profile, tweak their pictures, do whatever they need to do, and they know that even if they have lied about something, a guy is not actually going to call them on it when they get on the date unless he's a total asshole. And even then, what can he really do? He's probably already paid for the date and paid for the experience. She basically gets as many free dinners as she wants. So let's chomp down on some of the major flaws in this system. First and most obviously, and this might seem a little bit harsh, is any alpha female going to take the potential relationship seriously from a guy who had to use a dating site to meet women? What are the chances of a real top male, like the top 10%ers, showing up on that site? Honestly, does anybody think that they would be on there? No, they have probably 10 or 15 women in line waiting for them. They don't have a need for those sites. And I would guess that the vast majority of those women already know that. They're not on there really expecting to get the perfect guy. I mean, if they stumble across him, great. Awesome, they'll take it. But in reality, they're not there for him. They're there on that website for the same reason they're on Facebook. They want to post a whole bunch of selfies and see how many hearts and likes and emails they can get. The only exceptions are going to be women that have so many problems that they cannot find a male under normal circumstances. So it's going to be bad, which is probably the 1% that reply and show up. Furthermore, the act of sending out emails to these women is almost always pointless because they have search engines too. And all that they're doing is typing in their standards, which are probably unrealistically high, and they're going through the options that pop up and picking the ones that they're interested in and getting the attention of those guys, because those are the guys that they would want to go out with. So in my personal experiences alone, I've been on half a dozen of these sites. Not all of them were American. I've been on a couple of them like China Love Links. One of them I went on was called Cherry Blossoms, and it still exists. It's out there. That one was really interesting, and I don't recommend it, and I'll get into why here in a second, but it basically only charges their male clientele. The females do it for free because they couldn't afford it, because they're all in the Philippines. They're very strict in who you're allowed to talk to and how. But what was interesting about it is I went back to my account like 4 years after I closed it, and it still existed. And the people that had linked with me back then were still on the website looking. Like 4 years later. It was almost scary to see that. Some of them had not even changed their pictures. Oh geez, I have some horror stories. Like, I came across one woman who was from Canada and was literally just trying to get pregnant so she could get citizenship. That happens all the time. She was on Match. I've had several of them show up with friends and just expect me to pay for their friend's meal too. It was just a meal ticket, nothing more. Here's something that's kind of interesting. Did you know that Hot or Not didn't really start out as a dating site? And this is just going off of memory, so correct me if I'm wrong. The dating portion of it was kind of just an afterthought that they added on. Originally, Hot or Not, you'd see pictures of people and you would click how hot you thought they were on a scale from 1 to 10. So anybody could post their picture and then just get sort of a public opinion of how attractive they were. And there wasn't really any editing or anything to it. It's just whatever people thought of you. It was fun to go in and look at everyone's score to see how well they did. In the last year, I went back on it again, and though it has the name, it's completely changed. It's gone total dating site where it's all about hooking up now. Really disappointing, because I was looking forward to using it for what it was originally meant for. Incidentally, though, if you strip away the shell, the site hasn't changed, because when a woman puts up her profile picture there, all she's trying to do is either get that validation or set up a bunch of free dates. See, me personally, I'm a believer that when a woman meets a guy, she decides almost instantly whether or not she's even going to consider the potential of being in a serious relationship with him. Considering that, if she's already made her decision, is there any point in dating her in the first place? It is extremely difficult to change that opinion to the sum of like becoming super successful or winning the lottery, something ridiculously dramatic to change it. Then you take into consideration that these sites are basically having guys fill out applications that, if approved, they get to go on an interview with a woman on a date where she will judge the guy based on his suitability for a partner and most of the time deny him. He has to pay for the privilege of going on that interview. Then to top it all off, he was set up for failure from the very beginning by a company that doesn't want to actually see him succeed. When you look at the entire process as a whole, is there anything more demeaning than going through all of that? As men, to sit back and be judged by someone. A date in its pure sense, if it were done properly, should just be an opportunity for two people to go out and spend time with each other and enjoy each other's company. Perhaps learn more about each other. That's all that it should be if it were done properly. And if that were the case, I would imagine that a lot more people would be dating. There'd be a lot more of it out there. It doesn't work that way though, does it? There's too much entitlement nowadays. I, for one, and I'd imagine most of you would agree, have enough self-respect that I'm not going to pay someone for their attentions or affections, especially if it ends with them condescendingly brushing me off. Now, to anyone who were actually considering some of these sites to find and meet women, I would say take the time, the energy, the money, and reinvest all of that into self-improvement. The return on investment on those kind of sites is almost nothing. The same amount of effort could be put into the gym, and that guy would become a beast. It could be put into an online business, and he would become wealthy. It could even be put into a project, and that would bring him a lot of happiness. All of which is significantly more likely to get female attention anyway. No matter how you look at it, the best course of action is just always to go your own way. Well, let me know what your thoughts are. Have you had any experiences yourself, horror stories? What was the worst date that you ever went on, especially if it was one set up on a dating site? Let's hear it down below. If you want to hear more content like mine, like, subscribe. Until next time, this has been Marcel.